Hello, my name is not Al Gore, but it is always useful to use your proper safety gear while reviewing longboarding products. This is a review of the 76mm Fireball Beast. It has a contact patch of approximately 49 millimeters. The actual width of the wheel is a whopping 62 millimeters. It also has an offset core. As you can see, this wheel is 84A because it's red. This wheel is primarily used for freeriding. One feature this wheel has is a progressive wear pattern. Obviously you cannot see that on this wheel because I have cored it. This means that pretty much you got a really wide wheel, 62 millimeters, but right before the contact patch, it kind of angles in. You have these weird little lips. This allows the wheel to wear a little more steadily so that once you wear down the contact patch, you will still have the same feeling of the slide when you go down the wheel. So your slide won't change once the contact patch starts getting smaller. So these are great for little slower, spinny, flippy little slidey tricks like this. And they also work for those long standees such as this. Now, you may have heard that this wheel has a notoriously slow thane. There's not a huge speed difference, but they just feel kind of gummy and squishy and not solid. This isn't a huge problem for slide shove-its and spins and stuff when you don't need too much speed. But if you want to go do any downhill or big stand-up slides with a lot of speed in them, it's not going to be as good. This wheel is definitely very buttery, but I'm not quite sure why they have it in such a big contact patch, because in my opinion, if it was in a smaller contact patch, maybe a center set wheel, it'd be very good. These things definitely paint thane lines, and they're definitely a lot of fun to core. And on top of that, these wheels come with the Beastly warranty, which means if you core all four, which I have, then they'll give you 25% off your next purchase. And if you core them as noticeably like this, you only have to send in a picture in an email and they'll give you 25% off. So that's pretty sweet. The downhill capabilities of these are not too great. As I said before, they have a slow thane, which obviously will not be very good for downhill. And on top of that, they don't grip too well. They grip a little better than some of the other round-lipped small contact patch wheels, of course. I would not get these if you're planning on doing a lot of downhill, like racing and that kind of stuff, because you will lose, unless you are racing babies. The durability on these is not great. They last fairly long, but I ovaled these pretty quick. Now that has something to do with the fact that I was learning slide shove-its and no complies on these. As I went on riding them and I learned those tricks and I started doing long standees, I rounded them out a bit, so that's alright. It's fairly easy to flat spot these wheels. Even if you think you're doing the smaller slides, you usually end up having a little bit of oval to your wheels. This isn't a huge problem because there's a lot of thing on these wheels and it's fairly soft, 84, so it usually sucks up the shock pretty well. And of course, since these do paint the thane lines, you will lose thane fairly quickly. I personally really like that in a wheel. I like being able to see my thane on the road. I rode these for about 3 weeks to get them down to this point, but I was doing very hard riding, and they stood up fairly well. For my riding style, I'm not really sure if these wheels are worth your money. I do a lot of faster free ride, so a lot of fast 180s, fast standees, fast spins. I don't usually do the slower 360 slide shove-its and stuff like that. But if you do that kind of riding, the shove-its and the slower, more technical free ride, then these are fairly good. So overall, these wheels paint thane lines, they have a mediocre life, and they're not the fastest. So I would personally not recommend these wheels. You probably have different opinions, and I respect that. But as my mother taught me, when polar bears come knocking, you just give them the honey.